Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on another broadcast in the Roofing on the Rise studios, where we bring you innovation and education in today's roofing market. Today and every day, we have an awesome guest and an amazing topic. Today, we have Mike Salazar. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Marquis? Mr. Mitchell, how you doing?
I am doing good, doing good. Today, we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about um, a menagerie of stuff. We just started talking about some stuff that I feel is really important. We're talking about like Father's Day. Went to this car show and learned a lot about the pastor that was there. And it's crazy. It's like this huge church, Spanish tile, and immediately one would think like this guy's like taking money from the church. He's not like he doesn't even take a salary. And what's crazy is he donated the property for the church to sit on and then leveraged the extra property that he had bought himself to leverage debt to gain a loan to sell that property to like three different car dealerships, which paid top dollar, which paid for almost a women's center behind them, which was what we were just talking about. Women's center was like 7.1 million, and they were like 4 million short. And there were some women in the church that just came up and wrote a check and handed it to the pastor and was like, "Here you go," and it was done. Like, this is a huge thing in the world, helping people. We're talking about in specifically women's shelters and jails and recovering addicts, etc. Because this is a real place for both me and you, right?
Super. Yes.
And so you were just telling me a little bit about a program that you'd been thinking about, and run through that with me again.
All right. So just a little bit of background on me. I've served some time in TDC. My charge was attempted murder, dropped down to ag assault to deadly weapon, all based around methamphetamines. Okay. And so
it's got a strong hold on tech. Well, really the world. I mean,
the world. It's just an epidemic, man. It's just right there next to fentanyl or, heroin or whatever. So long story short, I'm in and out of, I went to Safe P, I went to halfway houses, I went to TDC, I went to ISF, I went back to the street, I went back to a halfway house, I went back to ISF, I went back to an A&D program. I'm just in and out, 8 years, in and out, in and out, in and out. A lot of time wasted. And so when I finally was released that last time, see, I've always been in the roofing industry since I was like 15. I mean, that's the first job I really ever had, was working with remodel roofing, kind of in the apartment community area. My mother was a director of an apartments community. And so single mom growing up, same sad story a lot of us have. So I ended up getting into roofing that way. And when I got out the last time, I remember working in TDC, and I remember they started building a bunch of private facilities. And as they were building the private facilities, inmates had an opportunity to work on them. So I got really familiar with a lot of flat roofing through that program for the 6 to 9 months that I was, in the program. However, when I got released, I started back in the roofing industry, out on the streets, just doing repairs. I wasn't in sales. I didn't know anything about all this, right? But I was staying sober. And so as I was praying and as I was asking God before I relapsed the first time, I was asking God, please direct me in the right way, God. Give me a sense of value that I just never felt about myself. And what can I do for you past this 10% tithe that you need? That's so simple to give. Like, what can I do? What can I do for you, God? Right? And God put this idea in my head to create a 501(c) called pop houses in metropolitan areas. Now, it's a halfway house of sort, but more of a training facility to train juveniles that have no opportunity. They have no parents. You know, they were raised in prostitution. They were raised in the streets. They were raised with gangsters. They were raised with dope dealers, and that's all they know. And so I thought, you know, hey, if we could get a place together and buy up some communities that are going downhill, and, you know, like a whole street, like say, you know, 6th Street or 5th Street is just horrible. The crime rate's crazy, you know, and my idea was buy that street, just a block on that street, and all those little houses that used to be crack houses, remodel them, rehab them, put a fence around them, put a one-way in, one-way out, and in the middle of that block, drop a training facility. And what we want to do is go into the prisons, and we want to talk to rehabilitated life sentence inmates that have done 25 or 30 years in prison that are going to die with zero dignity. Like they're going to die by themselves in those walls. They probably know God at this point. Some of them are probably pastors in the system. But those kind of guys, get them back out, give them a chance, put an ankle monitor on them, put them back in those fences where they can at least have some dignity. And then when these kids are getting out of juvenile detention, instead of saying, well, bud, it's either county jail or you're a free man. I mean, because that's what they get. You know, it's like, no, that's not how we need to release 17-year-old young men that don't know any different, right? We need to release them to the Pop House program. They get released to one of these life sentence inmates, or maybe a 3-time, 4-time convicted felon that never had a chance, that's, you know, in a house, and house 3 or 4 of these guys at a time, and then put them in a training for a trade.
Why do you call it Pop House?
Well, because 9 times out of 10, the juveniles we're going to be dealing with would probably end up calling the guy in the house, the house father, Pop. You know, that's Pops. So, you know, because that's kind of the prison mentality. So you don't want to just rip away that, you know, that mentality from them. You want to kind of work them out of it, right? Because anytime you try to take something away from somebody, the guard instantly goes up. So you don't want to take it. You want to train them to move away from it. Like, get away from this crazy stinking thinking that you're doing. And let's get your mind back focused on where you're going from here.
Stinking thinking. Man, I like that.
Thinking, man. Stinking thinking.
Dude, I want to give a big shout out right now. We are sponsored by Chatty Wilson Law Firm. Ladies and gentlemen,
nice.
Problem with a claim when the insurance denies, delays, or defends their position, reach out to me. I'll get you in contact with Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. Telephone number is 210-919-8987. Man, that Pop House I feel like if they had those, that a lot of the youth that is out there would have a place to learn to get out of that stinking thinking. And it's crazy that this is an epidemic, right? Like, I have most of the friends that I used to, acquaintances now, but the people that I used to call friends are either dead or in prison. And of those people that are not in debt, that are dead or in prison, 50% of them do not have their children and are not married and have lost their children to the system. And so this is something that could benefit these people. Because, see, you know, I was raised in a single parent household. A huge shout out to my mom for just living through what she lived through. And I mean, I can't tell you the countless times that I was in a women's shelter, and I was telling my kids about this the other day, actually. Crazy story. They had these bunk beds, and it's like concrete floors, and my mom and sister slept on the bottom bed, and I was on the top bunk. And I mean, this top bunk was like up there, dog. Like, they're like prison style bunk beds. And I rolled off that bunk bed and hit the ground. And I woke up. My mom's like looking down at me, and I'm like, why am I not looking down at my mom? Anyway, I was telling my kids this story about this woman's home that I was in for almost a year. And I mean, we went to school inside of this women's home and had like this courtyard. And so like when you talk about this pop house, like it sends me back to these memories that of in these homes, you know, trying to figure out like the way, right? And that's where my mom was at that time, just like trying to protect us children and also put us in the right spot. And I think that, you know, if there would have been a house like Pop House, um, you know, she could have benefited for that as well, you know.
For sure.
And so, you know, I I I I love this idea. I'd love to see it happen. Um, so I'm gonna check in. I'm gonna keep checking in on this. And if you need some help, just reach out. If I could do anything, if I could be of any assistance, I'd be more than happy to lend some. Um,
God's still working on me, man. So,
you
I
know,
mean, I think that before, and here's the deal, I owned my own business for roughly 18 years. Man, we almost hit 7 million was my biggest year. And I never could hold on to the proceeds, the monies that I was receiving. I never did feed that business back, right? But here's what happened. I wasn't ready, right? I was a CEO that was a boss. I wasn't a leader. I would lead far enough to teach these people, hey, now you're making me more money. Go make me more money. Go make me more money. And so in the midst of all that, right? Like on the outside, hey, Mike's got these nice cars. Mike's got these trucks. Mike's got boats. Mike's got side-by-sides. He's, man, all these kids married to the same woman. And people look at Facebook and they look at all this stuff and they go, dude's doing great.
Yeah.
But man, it wasn't just until 7 months ago that God put it on my heart to stop being a business owner, to stop trying to be that leader.
Yeah.
Because I had some internal issues. And my internal issues happened to be the main source of the addiction that I was in and out of. Kept relapsing. I kept relapsing. And then I would go, hey, you know what? I'm finally sober from methamphetamines. And, I'm years sober from methamphetamines now. But when I say addiction, methamphetamines rolled right into alcohol.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm not an alcoholic, man. I'm not. What do you mean alcohol? I'm not an alcoholic, right? No, I mean, I'm just out here drinking. I don't drink every day. But you know what I was doing? I was drinking to get drunk every time I drank. One or two wouldn't do it. One's too many. 1,000's never enough, So the clarity that I needed to put that thing into motion never would have came to the surface in my life because I kept drowning it out with whatever, just alcohol, or I'd be out, and the alcohol would lead to parties with the guys out there in the field. And the next thing you know, I find myself in a strip club and my wife's at home and here we are. And now there's a bump of Coke and it all just added up to there's internal problems going on. And I really had to dig down deep. And I remember hitting my knees, man, and I'm finna get emotional, but I remember hitting my knees about 7 months ago, fighting with my wife, man. My marriage is on the brink. I'm just begging God for mercy. Just, God, please take me out of the way I feel. If you don't take me out, I'm taking myself out. And I hit that point in my life. And God said, let the business go. And I answered him back. Like, what do you mean? I got all this power. I got all this money. And God answered me back. And I don't know if you've ever heard him speak to you, but it's a whisper. It's very quiet. It's very subtle. It's very quiet. It's not the loud, go over here. That's Satan. That's the enemy. Don't ever listen to that, man, because that loud atmosphere, the chaos, the loudness, anything that's like that, that's just rawr, that's always the enemy because he has to scream over God. God's very gentle and God whispers. And I heard God tell me, and I can still hear it to this day, son, I still have you in the palm of my hand.
Mm.
And I couldn't for the life of me figure out how, God, do you have me in the palm of your hand? But you're asking me to release the only thing that I've ever built in my life. The only thing that I've ever feel like I've completed in my life. And the funny thing is I didn't complete anything. I wasn't even halfway there. I just thought I was. Just like I said, that outside view has nothing to do with what's really going on behind these screens. And so I did. I got rid of the business and I started applying for jobs. First, I tried to partner up with someone else, and that was just an automatic no. God was like, dude, I already told you, get rid of the business, right? Because here's the truth. God had some internal things to work on with me. And those internal things were created by money and power. Yeah. And it was the pride. It was the ego. It was the greediness. It was the selfishness. It was the chauvinistic attitude that I would walk around with. It was the, you're beneath me. I've got so much more over you because I've got all these years experience, and you just didn't sell that one right. You could have done better, right? Instead of saying, hey, great job, man. Now let's try to get your money and put it in the right places. Absolutely not, man. I was taking guys at 20, 21, 22 years old, and I was dropping thousands at the bar. I was dropping thousands in the strip club. I was going on exotic vacations and showing these guys a false life. And the whole time, God was going, my son, I've blessed you with this talent. I've blessed you with this gift. And you were throwing it all back into worldly ways in the enemy. And so I knew at that point 7 months ago that, all right, I got to find another job. And so God landed me here at Conyer Roofing. And I know that, you know, Conyer opened his door to me. He paid a lot of my debts off. And I will gladly say that, man, it's a great guy. He's a great man. And he gave me a very, very strong offer. Now, do I make as much money as I used to? Not at all. But here's what I did get. And for the last 7 months, with every paycheck, I take another bite of that humble pie. And it's like, humble yourself. Keep humbling yourself. And it's just humble yourself a little more. Just a little more. Just humble yourself. And I've had to catch myself in the last 7 months looking at the deals I sold. Although I made a deal without a salary and an override, my deals don't count anymore. I don't get that 40, 50%. I don't get that big chunk of money. And I think that all that is just all revolving around internal character defects that we have to find. Like we have to find. If you're a mess on the inside, you have no business leading anybody else in a business. Period. Like you need to figure out that mess, and then you need to be 100% honest, genuine, and you need to truly walk with the most integrity that you could possibly walk with, because there's people looking up to you. Yeah. And that's where I was in my life. And man, and I still, within the 7 months, you know, I still tried to kick back and go back into, all right, I'm good now. I'm going to go have a drink. And I did. I went and had a drink, and didn't turn out well. Not at all. I mean, when I say not at all, like now I know today I can't drink anything because it affects me. It affects me in ways that I can't control. I'm powerless over the actions.
I'll tell you what happened. You want to know what happens when I drink? I break out in cocaine and handcuffs.
That's, hey, man. You know what I'm saying?
Like straight up.
I'm with the new rollies, but they're not rollies. I feel you.
I'm just saying, dog. Yeah. And so what's crazy is I hang out with like all kinds of people, like from the bottom to the top. From myself, I feel like for me, anyone can be an addict, but as well as there's plenty of people that are out there that just aren't. There are people that are out there that can go and sit down and have one drink, and it's insane. But for me, I can't even think, I can't fathom sitting down and having one drink, because like you, one's too many and 100 is not enough. And once I hit that drink, I'm like, all right, where's the powder at? Where's it at?
Absolutely, exactly. And it's, and here's the thing, man. It's not for me. It's really even not that I can't just go have one drink. I probably could, but I'm an extremist at
No, you
everything I do.
don't lie to yourself. You can't. You can't go
I
out
don't
there.
want to. It's
Yeah.
not that I couldn't. I don't want to. Like I don't want to. Like why do I want to sit down and have one Crown and Coke?
I'm not challenging you. I'm not like,
No, I mean, but it's like I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? I want to get drunk if I'm starting to drink. Just give me the whole bottle. I'll pay for the bottle. Because with that one Crown, I got to have a bottle of Excedrin because I'm fixing to get a headache, and then the whole night's ruined, and I don't even want to be here anymore. So see ya.
So what's crazy is, I hang out with a lot of people that drink now, and that's kind of not the norm for like an AA type of lifestyle. But I know myself and I know my limits, and there are certain times where I'm around people and I'm like, hey, listen, I need to go. And they respect me because they know that I don't drink. They don't push drinks in my face. I mean, from from like the bonfire to the celeb's house. I have that, hey, listen, I can't do that, right? And what's crazy is a lot of times people won't even notice that you don't drink. Like if you go out and you just like drink a sweet tea or a Sprite or something like that, people just don't notice if you're just walking around and you're social, but you do. And that's the thing that's inside of every addict's head is like, am I accepted? Am I am I going to be all right in this situation, right? Are they going to offer me something? Am I going to be able to say no, right? And those were the first things in my mind whenever I got sober was, will I be able to withstand some of those things? And I couldn't. Like that, I could not do it within the first year. I had to put it all away. And I mean, I'll be honest, me and my wife didn't even live together. Like it was that bad. Like my addiction was so bad, I couldn't even live in the same house as my wife and kids. And so, you know, we sit here, we talk about sobriety, we talk about our lives when it was bad, but what I want to do also is encourage the people that are watching that you can do it too, right? Like you don't have to continue to hold that burden. And if you feel like you are an addict, you're the only one that can say that. Like you're sitting here watching this or you're listening to it while you're on the road or whatever, what have you. And you're thinking, how did these guys go from being full-blown addicts to like not doing anything at all anymore? And my encouragement to you is one day. Is
That's
one
it.
day. It's
One
one
day.
and all you got to do is not drink or not drug today. That's
One
it.
day.
Just one day. And don't think about, well, what about tomorrow? I got to go tomorrow. I've got this thing. And I'm worried. Don't worry about that. Call someone. Like my telephone number is on every single one of my stories. You can click that and call me. Anytime you have an issue, you can call me. My Facebook, I mean, I answer that until almost midnight. I'll be there for you, right? I don't. I want everyone that's listening or watching to understand that you have someone out there that's rooting for you.
Hey man, and you know what? Here's the deal. If I can do it, right? And I mean, dude, my addiction was deep when I was in the midst of my addiction. And if I can lay that down, anybody can, right? Anybody can, because I didn't want to lay it down. But I didn't want to suffer anymore, more than I didn't want to lay it down. Right. Like I'm a sucker for, you know, a good night out drinking, and then you just bam, you know, you get that dope, and the next thing you know, you got your girl, and it's just a great night in your head. This is what's happening. You can play those out, and those scenarios are real. I mean, I started having dreams, and those dreams were reality. I'd wake up in hot sweats, and I'd think, damn, I just need to, I gotta. But in the reality of it, when I gave my life back over to God, right? When I hit my knees, when I surrendered, and I said, Lord, I need you to take that away from me. This is a little much for me to handle, and I need you to please take that away from me. He did. He took that away from me. And I think that without God, it's never possible.
Yeah.
Nothing is possible. Like even if you don't believe in God, by the time you finish your 12 steps, you're going to believe in God.
I mean, so my thing is that if it, and my like pastor probably wouldn't agree with this, and I get that, Pastor Allen, but this is how I came back to Christ. So I think this is super important. If you are disagreeing with an entity higher than yourself, I don't care if you believe that the doorknob is your higher power. If you can believe in something bigger than yourself, God, Buddha, whatever it is, and it gets you through your addiction, by all means, lean on that power. It is something bigger than yourself. I personally believe in Jesus Christ. And so that's my higher power. But when I was in my addiction, I was in denial of that. You know, I like that's a big thing for me. Ladies and gentlemen, my number's down at the bottom here as just a quick banner that I clicked on from like a year and a half ago. So if you need my number's down here, 210-919-8987. I'd love to help you out. And the same thing as well as if you're dealing with an insurance claim and you need help where the insurance denies, delays, or defends their position, Chad T. Wilson has got your back. Got this awesome swag. Telephone number again is 210-919-8987. Mike, what do you got in the background there? Is that a functional guitar?
So yeah, so let me show you this thing.
Let me see that.
So it's this is a what you call it. I thought this was super cool. This is back when I was doing some drinking and we were down in Memphis hanging out on Bill Street. And this is do I know?
What's all over the guitar?
Beer caps. Let's see. You got a little sailor right here. You got a camel pack, an Altoids pack. They got maybe like an old whiskey bottle or something. Piece of cable. Man, all kinds of stuff. A little gear of some sort, maybe out of a watch. I don't know. Some shotgun shells. Look at this old tire pressure gauge. That's pretty cool. Just everything. Well, look, there's some Delta wings.
That's cool.
Yeah, just everything, man. Some bullets. Just a mixture of stuff, you know.
Is it functional?
Do what?
Is it functional? Can you play it?
No, it's not. It's all wood. But you know, and what it is, it's just a at this place, at this bar I was at, they had these on the wall. And so this guy would bring in the wood that he cut out in this shape. Yeah. I got a fish. Let me show you the fish. Yeah. This guy would bring these in, right? And then, you know, you ever seen anybody just peel the label off the beer?
Yes.
So he would bring these in and he would set them on the bar. And then as people were drinking, you know, they would glue it down or nail it down or whatever, you know, and this one's got a bunch of cool stuff on it too.
Dude, that is so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I like different stuff, you know.
Your background. You got like a really banging office. I like that. As soon as you came on, I was like, bro, your background is freaking awesome. I like that.
It's fun. My office is fun. I get a lot of people, you know, I do a lot of my material agreements up here in the office, and then I'll invite the customer in and they'll come in. They'll be like just looking everywhere, you know.
I think the coolest thing that I have is this JBL Clip 2. This thing, it's been through it, right? But it's got the Chad T. Wilson logo on it. It's freaking awesome.
That is pretty cool.
I'm giving away one of these. And so if you see a post that says I'm giving away, comment, share, like, and I gave one away last week, so I'm giving away one this week. And this thing goes in like the shower with me, dog. Like this, that's my favorite thing that I've got in my background. Because it goes everywhere with me. Like literally, I'll just clip it. It's a clip, so it'll clip on my pocket or whatever when I'm detailing my car. Whenever I'm taking a shower, my son will just grab it, turn it on, and be like, "Dad, turn on the Excavator song or whatever," and we'll run around singing that we're excavators. It's pretty cool.
No, that sounds fun. Honestly.
And then I think the next one is the next coolest thing. I've never done this before, so I figured it's good for the goose, good for the gander. This is a bear brick.
He's cool.
So this is 7% of people in the world that open up the bear brick box. It's like a mystery. It's a mystery bear brick box. Get this one, which is the Flash. It's kind of cool.
That's sweet.
Right. So I've got this one, and then the other one that I got was just generic. Right. So 7% of people actually get a cool one, which is awesome. But I don't think it was a thing of chance, because like my son's favorite superhero, it's the Flash, dog.
The Flash is a good one.
My next one would be the Batmobile.
The Batmobile is cool too. I like Batman. I do like Batman. So I got this. Well, so I showed this to you earlier. I know everybody's seen the movie Christmas Story. Happens to be one of my favorites with a family tradition. And so me and the kids watch it every year. But check it out.
A triple dog dare you.
We triple dog dare you. Yeah. So that's cool. I like having it just shows character, and because here's the deal, man. I honestly believe when you talk about addiction, most active addicts have some of the best characteristics about themselves that's just masked, right?
Yeah.
They are brilliant people that are hiding so much pain that they don't get it yet, right? Because they haven't hit rock bottom, and you have to hit rock bottom. And rock bottom, man, we said rock bottom doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be losing your house. It doesn't have to be losing your family. It could be just like I was. It could be sitting in your room, looking at that Glock going, I don't want to live anymore.
Ooh, dude.
I just don't want to be here. Like,
real play.
I mean, yeah, and it's dark. It's just a dark place, and every day before I got to that point, I could walk around and people would be like, Mike, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Mike, are you okay? Like, yeah, man, I'm good. I'm straight. I'm fine. And in reality, I'm not, and I think it's because of what I pray for. Because I pray for some really specific needs, like God, give me courage. God, give me wisdom. God, give me patience. Whoo, be careful praying for that one.
Yeah, I stopped doing that.
God, give me wisdom. Wisdom.
5-year-old. That's what he gave me. God, I said I needed some patience. God gave me a 5-year-old. He was 4 last year, so you can imagine. But no, he's thank God for everything that I have in my life. But you're 100% right. You have really got to be careful.
Got to be super careful.
What you ask for, how you ask for it. Man, I feel that in everyone's walk that there are multiple things that you just have to go through. And for us, I think that was a travel through a memory lane, right? We had to go back through and understand some of the things that maybe we messed up to get to the spot where God wants us to. And maybe we're not even there yet, right? I know for me that this podcast is one of the biggest things that God has directed into my life, because it helps me and it helps others. And that's why I continue to do it. So if you're watching this today and you're like, man, I've got a problem with consistency, or man, I got a problem with addiction, or man, I got a problem with whatever, reach out. I'd be more than happy to help where I can, because this is what I feel God has put into my life, to help others. Mike, getting close to the end here. Let's get a little light with them. You know any roofing jokes? I mean, I'd tell you one, but it's over your head.
It's got him.
Got him. Sorry, I had to get one in there.
Yeah. Hey, you want to hear a roofing joke?
I'm ready.
I have all W-2 employees. Just kidding.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, contact your tax expert.
It is coming.
It is here.
Coming.
I mean, here. That's an amazing topic to kind of lead into,
isn't it though? And the disbelief in some of the CEOs out there, like, whoa, bro! It
doesn't fucking matter if they believe it or not. Like, I don't give a shit. It's over with. It's a federal mandated law now.
It is over with.
Now the FTC is banning non-competes.
Hey, you got the right to work, but here's the deal. Like, if you got the right to work, right? So right now, and I'll say this because nobody's here, he's not going to watch this, but here's the deal. I'm a 1099, and I'm sitting in this man's office, and I brought it to his attention. Hey, buddy, you might want to change some things, right? Because you're hurting me, and you're double hurting yourself. And you really need to read into this. And here's what I mean by that ego that I had. I noticed a lot of other CEOs have that. Oh, that's not going to happen. That's going to get boycotted. We're going to put, and I'm like, it happened.
Here's the thing, though, is that if they have most of everything in line and they have a couple of these issues that are out of line, they're going to slap them on the wrist. They're going to give them some fines or what have you. And that's what I feel also, I agree with the ego part, because it feeds back into that ego of, I'll just get a couple of fines. I'll pay that or whatever. And that's fine. Like, I personally am not against the 1099 model. Like, I like the 1099 model. I'm a business owner myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And personally, I had to do the same thing where, I needed a little stability in my life, and I needed to understand, more of what's going on up here, to understand what he wants me to do here. Right.
Right.
So, I'm not against it. One of the big reasons why I started the podcast was a employee of the company that I was working for came to me with a resignation letter, and on the resignation letter, it had an attachment, and the attachment was a 20-point bulletin from the state of Texas. Now it's federal. It's not even state, it's federal.
Federal. Yes.
What it is to be a W-2 employee. And if you are two or more of those, then it's criminal what the company is doing. And there was 16 items that she listed, highlighted. And I took it and I was like, wow, you're right. I'm not a tax expert. Let me look into this. I contacted the owner. The owner addressed one issue, and it didn't even have anything to do with the 20-point bulletin. And so at that point, I'm like, all right, I need to give an avenue for other people to understand what's going on and what's law, what's not, because there's a lot of people, obviously, like myself, that were ignorant to what the laws were. And so now we're full circle. I started talking about this when it happened over a year and a half ago. Everyone bashed me then, said I was a clown, It'll never happen. This year, it's federal law.
Well, so it's like this, and it's real simple. And this is how I have to explain to anybody. It's like, well, they can't do that. And I'm like, well, listen, you can have your 1099 people, but they got to have an LLC. They got to carry their own commercial liability. They got to carry their own workers' comp or be exempt. And then they have to operate in their name.
If it's more than that. If they have all of that and they get 90% of their income from you, still a W-2.
Still breaking
the law. So this federal law upped the ante, right? So you have got to really basically your 1099 will need to get money from someone else or from some other place and not your company. It can be another one of your companies, but it can't be that.
It has to be another company. Yes.
It has to be
and I saw something on there too that said they have to have ads out, like either on Yellow Pages or they have to have an ad. So like if you were paying me, it's in there. It's in there. That's one of the stipulations, that there needs to be an ad where they're actively looking for other work. Yeah. So it's getting real deep, and it's honestly going to be one of those deals where I think, and all this really boils down to the insurance commissioners. I hope you understand that. Like the insurance commissioners started this stuff. This wasn't, you know what I'm saying? This wasn't just like something that said, oh, well, you can't be 1099. This was just complaint until it got to the highest up of the highest.
The problem is that we've been playing with this insurance restoration training game for so long, for like the last decade now, has been fight the insurance, get every dollar you can get every dollar you can get, come here and learn how you can make more money from the insurance company. And it's like, eventually they're going to say, okay, well, enough is enough. And we're going to put our foot down. We're going to make it so much more difficult. Oh, wait, you know what? It's got nothing to do with claims. It's got to do with law. We're just going to fuck your business up. Boom.
100%.
And they pay billions, millions and millions and millions to billions a year to lobby in every single one of our districts. And if you're not a part of that, the change, the politics, you can't do nothing unless you are either supporting or helping that politician. You're just another number. That's the problem that we have, is that that's not the problem. The problem that we have is that for the last 10 years, we have made it normal and okay to not vote, to be silent, to go with the flow, and not to judge. And every single fucking one of those is what brought us here to America. So if we don't vote, and if we don't get political and we don't get up in their face, then we're going to sit back in another 10 years and we're going to be talking about how amazing the roofing industry was.
Well, you say vote. Do you not think it's a little jacked up that I live here? I got to pay my taxes. I still have to support Social Security income. I still have to support federal law, but I can't vote.
There is that.
I can't vote. I can't vote because I made a mistake, so I can't vote.
It's one of those things that.
But I voted for Biden. I did not, but I did. My name was on a ballot for Biden, and I'm like, how the hell? Great.
That dude right there is just, I cannot understand.
Welcome to the machine.
I don't understand. Yeah, it's like half the time. It's so
I think he's a robot.
I'm not gonna disagree with that. Like,
I mean, robots can't ride bikes.
okay, so Skynet, all right. So that's the next thing. AI, what AI is doing in America, actually worldwide. Did you see WWDC 2024? That's the new. I think I said 20 too much, but that's the new iPhone that's coming out, the 16. Did you see
No,
that?
but I already want to go back to a Nokia candy bar phone.
Same. It's integrated with AI. And so if you thought that, like us talking, I'm sure that if I get on Facebook right now, that I'll probably find some sort of uh quickly some sort of AI teaching or whatever we've talked about during this entire thing, we're going to find some sort of um here we are. We talked about marketing. Boom, marketing.
Oh yeah, man. That's
It this thing is freaking listening to everything you say already. You're getting Facebook notifications, you're getting Facebook push notifications, TikTok, Instagram, all across the board, everywhere you go. And what's crazy is I said, I'm not going to say anything in my mind. I'm not going to say anything about what I'm thinking. But if I open up and I see this ad, and it was the fucking ad, and I was like, bruh, it's a little scary. Right?
Well, it is.
And we're taking it to the next level. This fucking
I firmly believe that your brain waves, your thoughts, and your brainwave activity can be picked up. I believe that. I believe it can be picked up. I just, because when you're thinking, you're actively using your brain. You're just not speaking.
Yeah.
And so who knows, man? Who knows if you could have some type of wavelength that picks that up and says, hey, this guy's thinking about this. I mean, who was it? I can't think of the dude's name. I don't even know why. He's like the biggest. Man, come on, man, the new cowboy.
New cowboy?
Yeah, they call him the new age cowboy. Damn, Elon Musk, bro. Elon Musk, he tested that monkey's brain.
Really?
And that monkey was Go look it up on YouTube. It shows it, dude.
All right.
He's literally sitting in front of a computer, and this gorilla is looking at the computer, and it's telling the gorilla's thinking, and then the gorilla's responding without even talking. And it's just communicating back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting there. I mean, the Oculus Pros, it's starting to pick up on, and if you're like watching, you're like, these dudes are fucking crazy. They're high, whatever. First off, sober, so that's not fucking happening.
Yeah. Hey, well, I mean, Celsius.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you get whatever. I mean, we go down that fucking road if you get high on fucking caffeine, but whatever. Give me Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, man, those are killer.
I stopped drinking Dr. Pepper for the longest time, but then I've had a few people in my life die, and as of late, right, even in AA, and it just got me to think, like, you know what? I'm not drinking. I'm not drugging. If I want to have a Dr. Pepper, I'm going to drink a Dr. Pepper, and if that kills me, then you know what? I'm going to die. You know what? You only live once. YOLO.
And there is a healthy way to live. I agree, but
I don't drink like 10 in a day. I may drink a couple,
I went to a lady's house that was 94 years old. Her name was Miss Sandy, and she drank 3 Cokes a day, 1 at breakfast, 1 at lunch, 1 at dinner. And to this day, is probably still drinking Coke somewhere.
That's hilarious.
So it's.
What's the biggest takeaway from our conversation today? If you had to say, hey, if you're watching, listen to this, what would it be?
Man, I know right now that there are CEOs of roofing companies that are struggling. It's no secret. And they're killing themselves internally. And they're probably still drinking, and they're probably experiencing a little bit of drug use, because that's just what a lot of roofers do. you know? And so I would say the biggest takeaway is this, and I hope somebody does take it away. It's like, you don't have to live that life anymore. There are options. And when I say options, if you're knowledgeable and you have a good work ethic and you really want to change in your, career path, because financially you're struggling and you're about to fall and bust your ass in taxes, and that you're not going to be able to afford that company if things don't turn around, because your recoverables are probably somewhere around 200,000 or 300,000, and that's just the reason why these insurance companies are doing what they're doing. Then here's my advice: is first of all, as me, let's speak for me. I had no core values, I had no morals, and I had tons of character defects and literally an addiction going on. And it doesn't have to be alcohol or drugs. A lot of people are addicted to other things, man, porn and food and tons of things, whatever, games, gaming, right? Whatever that may be, it's getting in the way of your future. And so I think the biggest takeaway is going to be, there's help out there. There's people out there that care, that have been there, and phone numbers are running across the screen right now. They're roofed on. Call, right? And that's all that is to it. It's just call, just call. That's all you have to do. Just call and listen. And I'll give you some advice, or Marquis will give you some advice that you can take, and it's free. It's free advice here.
Really?
Stop today, right? Don't worry about tomorrow. That's probably the takeaway right there. One day at a time.
Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a live stream where we are sponsored by Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. It's down here as well. It's over my shoulder. Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. They're there for you. When the insurance company denies, delays, and defends their position, reach out to me. I'll get you in contact with the right people over at Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. Again, my telephone number is 210-919-8987. You can find it down at the bottom of the screen. Man, Mike, thank you so much for coming on and giving, a little sliver of your testimony. I know that this stream will help others. And again, man, just thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, man. Hey, man, stay clean. And I appreciate you inviting me, for real.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a live stream. Until next time, it's the Roof Don.